All right, so you want me to double check on the cord?
Yeah, make sure that cord's not in the video.
I don't think it was. I'll tell you what, I'll just...
Oh. I'll just throw the whole camera.
I'll fix this. We will have a good show. We will have a good show.
Because we... Oh, gosh.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
How you doing, girl?
Ooh.
Haven't seen you in forever.
Girl is tired.
Yeah.
How you doing? You the one that should be extra tired.
It has been... I had a whole year's worth of a week.
Wow.
Right? I mean, it's so much in 1 week. I'm still emotionally raw.
I bet so.
So I'm hoping to attain some sort of balance
Yeah.
before I
that may take some
start
time.
crying in public. I may cry on this show.
Don't do that, Bill.
No, that's your job.
Yeah, no, right?
Your job.
I was going to say both of us can't be crying. No,
Yeah.
This ain't going to work.
Yeah, one of us needs to have our crap together.
Yeah, we got to.
And we will begin here in 3 and 2 and 1. Welcome to episode 53 of Black, White, and Blue in the South, the podcast discussing Democratic politics with a Southern flair. I'm Bill Kimmler.
I'm Jumelle Brooks.
And we're coming to you from Greenwood, South Carolina, a little red county in a very red state. If you like what you hear and think others ought to be listening as well, then you need to hit pause right now and leave a little rating for our show. Write a little review. Tell your little friends about us. Interact with us a little on social media. Or better yet, send South Carolina Republican House Representative and founder of the South Carolina House Freedom Caucus, R.J. May, a gift basket of shower soap with those little handles on them that can tie around the wrist, to prevent it from being dropped while you're in the shower. Because where he's going, that'll come in handy. I bet you didn't see that coming.
I did not.
Here with some breaking news is WCNC.
5:06 right now. We're working to find out why police arrested a South Carolina state representative. Officers arrested R.J. May yesterday in Lexington County, but they didn't release what charges he's facing. There's also no record of any indictments or warrants. May has represented House District 88 in Lexington County since 2021. He was just reelected last year.
All right, well, I have a problem with them. They claim like they have no idea who R.J. May is, why he might have been arrested.
That is exactly why I jumped and looked at the screen like, girl, stop lying.
Exactly.
Everybody knew this back, 2024, when all of this started hitting the fan, because that's when they came in.
A year ago, over a year ago.
And everybody on that team has looked straight like nothing was wrong.
Okay, so then I tuned into News 19 WLTX.
Okay.
Surely they did some research on R.J. May.
We are starting this Wednesday with breaking news updates. That's because we learned moments ago that South Carolina State Representative R.J. May has been arrested and booked over at the Lexington County Jail. At this time, though, we do not know why he was brought there or what charges he might be facing. May has represented in House District 88 in Lexington County since 2021. He was just reelected back in November of last year after facing no opposition in the primary or general election. He's also, though, a founding member of the South Carolina Freedom Caucus and at one time served as its vice chair. News 19 also reaching out to both the U.S. Attorney's Office and the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, and right now neither of one sharing a comment. There is also no record of any indictments or warrants at this particular time. Of course, we'll continue following this developing story and share the very latest updates both on air and online at WLTX.com.
Why do we keep doing that?
I don't know what gives, Jumelle. I mean, you and I reported on this. Why was he being investigated by federal agencies last year? Why?
Yes, because it was child pornography.
Yes.
They came in to his home, took all of his electronic devices.
Exactly.
This stuff was public knowledge. So how is it that the news outlets don't know?
That's just terrible. That is terrible reporting.
Baffling to me.
We've been talking about R.J. May for months since this first broke.
Yeah.
So I went to the print magazines, the print papers, South Carolina Daily Gazette.
Okay.
They published an article, and they wrote that a state legislator and founding member of the ultra-conservative House Freedom Caucus was booked in a Lexington County jail on Wednesday, according to online jail records. So we're all in alignment there. No charges were listed yet. Okay, we're in alignment there. But he was being held pre-trial for the U.S. Marshal Service.
Here we go.
That's an important fact, right?
It is.
Suggesting potential federal charges. And then they write, federal investigators seized electronic devices from May last August, right? So almost a year ago.
Okay.
And a federal court filing in October provided the first public confirmation that May's electronics were seized, although it didn't specify where. But here's the list of items that were taken. So get this. I'm an electronics guy.
Okay.
I don't have anywhere near this amount of crap in my house. And
I think we
live
talked
in IT.
about this. Go.
A Lenovo laptop, check.
Okay.
An Amazon tablet, check. 4 cell phones. How many cell phones you got?
I got one.
I got one. My wife has 2. One of them's from work, and then another's her personal one. But they confiscated. He had 4. He had a whole belt of phones around his waist.
Wow.
4 hard drives, 4 SD cards, 2 DVDRs, and 19 thumb drives. 19 thumb drives.
What is he storing on those?
19. I've got 2 thumb drives that I use from time to time.
I found one the other day.
Right. 19. He's got a whole bag full. Anyhow, they grabbed all of that, and that was the South Carolina Daily Gazette. Good for them in doing the research and putting everything in context. And then, just breaking this afternoon, the state and other outlets have reported some details as charges on, as we record today, it is Thursday, charges have been officially filed.
Okay.
He was denied bond.
As he should be.
Wow, denied bond after an indictment was unsealed, charging him with 10 felony counts of distributing child sexual abuse material via the internet. They go on to say that May 38, a married father of 2 young children.
My gosh.
My heart just breaks for them.
My
If they're
gosh.
not the victims, they are still the victims,
Wow.
right? When their dad is undergoing this. Was arraigned Thursday morning before U.S. Magistrate Judge Shiva Hodges at a federal courthouse in Columbia. He pleaded not guilty to the charges. He actually came up with some sort of rational defense, at least his lawyer did, that somebody broke into his Wi-Fi and did all that transmitting and it wasn't him. But if you read the records here of the evidence they have, they've got him in 1 second looking up something on the state government website, and then in the next second transmitting something through an app called Kik. It's all from the same phone, same time, same geolocation. There was nobody busting into his Wi-Fi. That's the weakest argument ever. That's just not going to fly, and hence he was denied bond. But get this. May, who was the driving force behind the creation of the hardline conservative SC House Freedom Caucus, had a username.
Yeah.
Joe Biden,
I was waiting on you.
NNN69.
Yeah.
That was the
Yeah.
name that he chose for transmitting this stuff. And you talk about derangement syndrome.
That's how low an individual can go.
Oh.
Pure deceitful.
So he distributed at least 10 videos of child sexual abuse. And I read the state article. They go into some graphic detail of what was found in those videos. And I don't even want to repeat it here in the air because it just makes me sick to my stomach.
Well, I listened to my governor to be
Dr. Jermaine Johnson.
Yeah, shout out to him. Can't wait to call him governor. He did a live, and you can see the passion and the pain in him as he tries to go through this. And one of the statements that he said was, do not read that indictment if you have suffered any type trauma, because it would be gut-wrenching. And I'm thinking, like, what did this monster do? That is the lowest of the low. And then this is the group that stands behind Christianity. And this is what frustrates so many people. You have an individual like this that is promoting Christianity as the only way, the right way, and you have to have the wife and the 2 children, and the wife and the children, and or the wife and the husband. There's a certain way you must be, and it must align with their way of thought. And this
He
is
was
who you
on the
have.
front line of banning books in the schools. He was on the front line of banning gay marriage and being transphobic. He was on the front line of all of that. And this is why whenever I hear somebody talk that way, I'm just wondering what's in their closet.
That's it.
Remember that senator from Minnesota, Justin Eichhorn? I was watching our clip
Yes.
where he had that whole video about how he's fighting for family values and he was under attack by Metro liberals, and he was there to defend the family conservative way. And then in the next clip, he was arrested for soliciting child prostitutes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's the pattern we see over and over. And you know what? I actually almost feel sorry for those that have their views and are actually living good lives, because I can't trust it.
Yeah.
I can't trust any of that.
Yeah.
So the legal filing also accuses May of distributing 220 different videos about 470 times over a 5-day period. That is some furious sharing that this guy was doing.
Did you work any during the day?
Yeah.
You couldn't have.
In fact, I shared a video of RJ May in a committee meeting after all this had broken a couple months back. And he's there on his phone, just tapping away, swiping left, swiping right, while the committee hearing was happening. This guy had an addiction. And I know we like to dance on his grave, so to speak, because it brought down a vile member of the legislature. But behind everything he did were so many child victims, and I don't want to lose sight of that. For every one of those 479 incidents that he shared was a child whose life was ruined because there were people like him out there who revel in it. So I don't want to lose sight of that. Anyhow, I'm glad we've been tracking this for months. I hope this does bring an end to things, and we'll see where this trial goes. We'll keep you up to date as we hear more about RJ May. But what that does leave at the moment is an open seat in the middle of a session. So there will be a special election, which has yet to be called. He has not resigned from his office yet, but that's going to be forthcoming.
Yeah.
The governor will kick him out because I think there is a rule that says if you're under federal indictment, you lose your seat.
I think they've already spoken. I think the House has already
The only thing I've seen so far was that the House Freedom Caucus has kicked him out.
Oh, I thought.
But the House hasn't yet.
Okay.
Because I think they were waiting for the charges to be unveiled, which they were just a few hours before us recording. Okay. Anyhow. Let us know what you think by dropping us a note at blackwhiteblueinthesouth@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Mastodon, and Blue Sky. So go check us out. And go look at those award-winning show notes in your little podcast app, where you can find links to all of those accounts, the news items we share, and more.
Shoot.
Should we just wrap up the show now?
I mean, I got so frustrated with that dude. I forgot we didn't do that.
Well, we're going to change the tone here.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Jumelle, it is just you and I today.
Yes, it is.
We've had a long string of episodes with guests, but today we're just going to be the two of us. So let's quiet things down a bit. Let's dim the lights. Let's light a few candles, gaze into each other's eyes, talk about things that are personal to each other, things that are important.
Oh my gosh.
Starting with my wife.
Love it.
So let's talk about our personal lives, because so much has transpired since we last recorded. And first off, before we do that, I do want to give a huge thank you to Cynthia Halpin Brown and Trey Ward, our last two guests. We actually recorded their episodes back to back in the same day.
Yeah.
And they were fantastic. We got a lot of really positive reviews. Cynthia, she just became a little celebrity within her circle of friends. And Trey Ward, we've been getting a lot of compliments from his episode as a fascinating individual. We actually had a guy on Facebook goes, they had a former Republican on before they had me. And then he had to come back and say, well, after listening, I get why you had him.
It was worth it.
And he was turned around on it. So so happy to have them both, and we're thrilled. But let's talk about what's happened in our lives, and I'll kick things off.
Go.
Talking about my wife. She actually had heart surgery last week. So that was a big deal. And,
Did we know this? Was this planned?
It was in the works. It was going to happen. The date came suddenly.
Oh.
So let me give you a little background on why she had heart surgery. I think it's an interesting story. In fact, let me pull up my little Facebook Messenger where she sent me a note, because I had to ask her, what is that condition you had?
Oh.
The condition was called dysautonomia. Dysautonomia. All right, I'll find a link to it and put it into the show notes. But basically, there's something called the vagus response. And when you're feeling woozy, your blood pressure drops and the body tries to protect itself. Well, ever since she was a little girl, she's had seizures. And no, the trigger was always the same. It's whenever she felt woozy or felt nauseous. Like if she started feeling sick, if she saw something like the sight of blood or had the flu or something that gave her a stomach bug, she was prone to go into seizures.
Oh, wow.
And she lived with this all her life. They thought it might have been a form of epilepsy. They did the brain test. They couldn't find any triggers for epilepsy. They really had no idea what it was. And then just over 10 years ago, she was at work donating blood.
Uh-oh.
And then she felt woozy, and next thing, she was on the floor, unconscious, having a seizure. And she woke up out of it and just was miserable and so on. So anyhow, she got a doctor's appointment the next day. They were going to hook her up to a whole bunch of electrodes and induce a seizure.
Ooh.
They actually have something called a tilt table. So they strap you in this table, and then they swing you back and forth and get you really nauseous.
Wow.
And they were able to generate a seizure. Now, a seizure is not a fun thing to have, as you can imagine, but they were able to capture all the measurements, and so they sent her home. And later that afternoon, they called and said, "We need you to call a cardiologist. Make an appointment with the cardiologist the next day." So we made the appointment with the cardiologist, went in, and it was this little guy with a foreign thick accent, but he was so excited. He was like, "We know what it is. We can fix it."
Oh.
So going back to that vagus response, so when she felt woozy and the blood pressure drops, her disorder is that it goes too far and the heart actually stopped.
Oh.
So when she had her seizure, her heart was not beating.
Oh, gosh.
And it was the brain going into overload, trying to restart her heart. And that's why she starts shaking and having the seizure and so on. And he says, we can fix this with a pacemaker. So a pacemaker is just there so that when the heart rate drops below a certain, it kicks in and takes over, make sure that it's pumping away while she's working through whatever nausea she's working through.
Wow.
And so she's had this pacemaker for 10 years and not a single incident.
Okay.
Well, over the years, the leads started, one lead broke. And this is leads that touch the heart muscle.
Yeah.
One lead stopped working. The battery was starting to fail at the 10-year mark. So she had to go in and get it done.
Wow.
So they had a whole team. In fact, it's kind of a specialty to be able to go fix the leads. Like putting in the pacemaker is easy. Fixing these leads is not, because scar tissue can form around the leads. And so now you're going to laser them off, and you don't want to cut the muscle, and the heart could stop, and you never know. So there's a specialist up in Charlotte. There's a whole team that does that. So we went up to Charlotte last Wednesday. And they have to coordinate 5 different teams.
Wow.
Because not only do they need the specialist who does the pacemaker surgery, they also had a completely independent heart surgery team on standby.
Really?
Like the pacemaker stuff goes up through the groin and into the arteries and navigates up, so you don't crack the chest open at all. But if they cut accidentally or if there was some tearing in the muscle, now you got to go in, and they have an entirely different team scrubbed and ready to go during this process, so that if anything happened, and it was a rare chance, but if anything happened, they would go right in, crack open the rib cage, and get working on the heart to repair it within the minute.
Wow.
So it was a lot of teams. And in fact, I remember when the first doctor came in, he gets up, and Carla, my wife, is prepped on the surgery table. No, she was in the bed, prepped with the head thing on, the gown and all that. And he comes in, and he goes up to a whiteboard and starts drawing a diagram of what he's going to do. So I'm going to share this diagram with you. And I don't know why he drew her ovaries when he was going to do a heart. I'm guessing those are her ovaries, right? That's what he drew. So anyhow, he drew something.
What in the world?
and just started saying, we're going to put this here and put this there and put the lead here. And he was very competent at what he was doing. But I just have to assume, I'm no human biologist.
Hey, but in his baby, I don't know. Kind of gave me, if you wouldn't look at the top, it's like Mickey Mouse.
Yes, he did say that, by the way. He says, here's my Mickey Mouse drawing.
Okay.
But that thing over on the right, I guess, is the left ovary.
Yeah.
And why is the ovary above the heart? I don't know. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. I needed to. Hey, you can see this picture in our show notes. So go click on that link and tell me what you see. All right, get off. We're not going to study this picture all day long.
Okay.
So anyhow, to wrap things up on that subject, she's doing great.
Good.
We had a 1-week checkup yesterday, flying colors.
Yay.
She's just, tired, sore, but, you had heart surgery.
Yeah.
So just recovery and light exercise, nothing strenuous. And she's going to be right as rain in a few weeks and a new lease on that heart for at least the next 15 years.
Look, when I saw the picture of you two, I said, now that is the happiest Bill has been. Bill, you just lit up. I was
thoughts
like,
go through your mind,
yeah.
because you just never know.
Yeah.
So your brain has nothing to do but think.
Yeah, I was like, okay, Carla, frame that one because that was too cute.
But that was only the second big thing that happened within a 5-day period.
That's what was amazing.
Because her surgery was on Wednesday.
Yeah.
5 days prior to that in Albany, New York, my oldest daughter got married.
Oh.
And it was... Jumelle, I hope you get to experience this because the concept of walking your baby girl down the aisle.
Yeah.
I am so fortunate I got to live that. It was better than I could have imagined it. You see a picture of it, and I'll share a picture eventually, but you see a picture of me, and you would swear sunshine was bursting out of my head.
Oh, wow.
I was just so happy and proud. And
wow.
It was great. It was great.
That is so cool.
It was great.
She was a beautiful bride, too.
Well, thank you so much.
Stalking your page, like post a picture, Bill.
So I'm going to share with you something that I'm going to reveal here on our episode for the first time. I've wanted to post this on social media since it happened, but I've not. I wanted to save it for here.
Okay.
My daughter's husband is a native Spanish speaking. His family is from El Salvador. So his parents, he was born in the U.S., but his parents emigrated from El Salvador, and Spanish is his first language, and half the people in attendance were Spanish speaking. His name is JC, and he said that most of them understood a good amount of English. A couple didn't know a lick of English at all. So I said, okay, well, that's good to know, and I'll make sure that I'm friendly to everybody.
Yeah.
Well, I gave the father of the bride toast at the reception.
Okay.
And I did most of it in Spanish.
No way.
And if you know me, Jumelle, my biggest phobia of anything is speaking a foreign language out loud. I consider myself a smart individual.
Yeah.
I double majored in math and physics, and I could study and learn anything.
Yeah.
Spanish almost lost me my scholarship in college. I spent more time on intermediate Spanish than I did on quantum mechanics. And I got a C-, and it brought my GPA down and almost got me out of school.
Wow.
And it wasn't from lack of trying.
Yeah.
I tried, but when I had to do, like if I'm reading and writing, I could probably do okay. But the speaking part, I've got this phobia, this mental block where I freeze.
Okay.
Since then, I've tried to learn Japanese on my own, just for fun, not for any reason. And after 3 years of studying Japanese and thinking I got it, I tried to speak to an individual and almost vomited.
Oh, my goodness.
It's like that's the thing for me. So my gift to my daughter, besides paying for the freaking thing, the gift was to go and conquer that fear and speak in Spanish to his family, a bunch of strangers, and give the message. So what I'm about to do here is I'm going to play for you that speech right now.
A black, white, and blue in the South exclusive.
And in the Spanish-speaking parts, I also include an interpretation so that you know what I'm saying.
Okay.
You ready to watch this?
I am.
All right, here we go.
My name is Bill. I am Amanda's dad, and to my great fortune, JC's dad as well. As my gift to you, and to everyone here tonight, I offer something very rare, a short speech from me. There are people who have traveled thousands of miles to get here, and there are others who literally rolled out of bed to get a free meal at the Desmond Hotel. But regardless of how we got here, we all came because we are connected by blood, by marriage, by friendship, by luck, to this amazing young couple who have joined their lives together this evening. And now, I wish to say a few words to my new Spanish-speaking family. Perdóname, por favor, es que me da un poco de miedo hablarte así.
please forgive me, as I am a little bit terrified speaking to you like this.
Si oís algún error, echale la culpa al ChatGPT.
If you hear any mistakes, please blame ChatGPT.
Pero en el mundo de hoy,
But in today's world,
que está lleno de miedo y desconfianza,
that is full of fear and mistrust,
tenemos que hacer el esfuerzo de acercarnos y unirnos como hermanos y hermanas en la humanidad, ¿no?
we must make an effort to reach out and bond together as brothers and sisters in humanity, right?
Tenemos que derribar todas las barreras para que una pareja joven como esta tenga la oportunidad de salir adelante.
We must pull down all barriers so that a young couple like this can have a chance to succeed in life.
Quiero contarte un poquito sobre mi hija, Amanda Rose.
I wish to tell you a little bit about my daughter, Amanda Rose.
Desde que era chiquita, le enseñé que hay 4 cosas importantes que uno debe ser en la vida.
Ever since she was a little girl, I taught her there were 4 things that are important to be in life.
Número 1. Sé amable.
Number 1. Be kind.
Número 2. Sé inteligente.
Number 2. Be smart.
Número 3. Sé vos mismo.
Number 3. Be yourself.
Número 4. Olorarte bien.
Number 4. Smell clean.
Creo que ella ha cumplido con estas reglas excepcionalmente, ¿no?
I think she has lived up to these rules exceptionally, right?
Pero nunca me imaginé que ella encontraría a un hombre que también cumpliera con esas reglas.
But I never imagined that she would find a man who also matched those rules.
Así que les pregunto mi nueva familia.
So I ask you, my new family,
¿Es Don Carlos amable?
is John Carlos kind?
¿Es Don Carlos inteligente?
Is John Carlos smart?
¿Don Carlos es fiel a sí mismo?
Is John Carlos his own man?
¿John Carlos huele bien?
Does John Carlos smell clean?
I agree. So JC, know this. My heart is so damn full of pride and love for my daughter. I thought there was room for no more, but after tonight, I have found room for my new son. In the middle room, my shining star, you are absolutely radiant tonight and deserve every happy memory this evening brought to you. May God bless you both, keep you safe and happy, give you the strength to get through difficult times, and reward you with great financial success so I can move in with you and be taken care of another time. To Amanda and JC.
Yay, good job, Bill. Good job. I love the speech. Love that you went bilingual. I didn't know your tie was lighting up the whole time, Bill. Bill.
There was a theme to the wedding. It was a Star Wars themed wedding. So as you look
How
through
cool
some
is
of the
that?
pictures, it's all Star Wars. It's all neon. Every attendee got little glowing lightsabers, and we danced on the floor with them. And you can see that video. So everything about it was Star Wars. So I got myself a little Star Wars tie that had a light blue neon trim that lit up with a battery.
Yeah.
And that's what I wore to the reception.
What did JC say after you finished?
He said that all the family members came up to him and they were just so appreciative that they were included in all the speeches. And my first word was, did I even pronounce half the words correctly?
You sound like you did well.
Could I be understood? And they said not only did they understood, but they appreciated the message.
Good. Wow.
Because in this political climate that we're in, where Spanish speaking is almost a crime now,
Yeah.
a lot of them are nervous.
Yeah.
A lot of them are nervous. And
that
so that was my gesture to try to
That was a bit much for me, but that was
try to
sweet.
bring people together. So that was my
Wow.
gift. And I'm glad to share it with you, the listener, as well. This is where it is debuted. And once this episode releases, I will then share it with the public as well.
Oh,
So that was my week. That was my week.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. But you also had a week of your own, did you not?
I mean, at this point, I don't know where Monday is and where Sunday is, Bill. We got that one that's recovering from surgery.
This is your son.
Yes.
He's got surgery in the leg.
That has, and I just keep telling him, you don't know who you're carrying around inside of you now, because we have 2 cadaver parts.
Wow.
Because of the damage. So I think we got about 10 years of activity on those cadaver parts, but the surgeon said, hey kid, I don't even have enough of you to repair your own body. So, surgery was delayed because we had to get the parts in. And so my son kept going, they got to order parts. What kind of parts? And I'm like, dude, you have no clue.
Cadavers are us.
Yeah.
You got to go to the store.
Yeah, and they pulled up 2 really good ones. And
Yeah.
so he's just doing that recovery, but that's so slow. But after him, this is what we've been running with graduations, surgeries, and graduations. So now all boys have graduated high school, and 2 of the boys have obtained college degrees. So we got the baby boy that's about to venture off into the real world, which is, I know, right? And I just don't.
Are you empty nesting yet?
I'm hoping that they don't leave me. Oh. And I know that they will. And I'm not going to keep them, of course, but I just want them to be ready.
So hold on to it as long as you can.
I know. Because emotionally, I don't even know who I am.
Now, you've also been busy in the last couple of weeks, and we haven't been able to bring this up on air, but you've been on a little crusade in the city of Greenwood. Talk about that, if you would. This is a good time to bring that up because you've been busy.
Are you talking about my city council?
That is correct.
Yeah, so sometimes you can't wait for things to happen at the state level. And so I just took the initiative to go to our city council with something that was definitely within their purview. They can handle this, and it's been handled before. So I went to the city council to petition for them to add the hate crime ordinance, and gave them the reference where they can see that there's about 19 other counties and cities that have already added the hate crime ordinance.
Throughout the country.
Yeah, and we're doing well with it. These are cities that are prominent, that are growing, that are thriving for all communities. And so I presented that option to them. It has caused a stir, as I would have expected it to happen. But when I was speaking to them on the night that I introduced it, I was very clear with that board when I said, prepare yourselves. There will be people who will fight against the implementation of the hate crime ordinance. And I wanted to be clear to tell them that whoever it is that has anything negative to say against something that good for all people, not just for one demographic, it's for everyone. Those are the people who support hate crimes. And I'm not going to be able to take anything else. I've read articles that have been published since I went the first time. And I've heard one of the city council members say, why are we even having to deal with this? This should be handled at the state level. And my statement to them is very simple. If you are not willing to take care of your own house, why would you be asking the state to take care of your house? So stop hiding behind these titles and not being willing to make some tough decisions. We've read the articles and we've read the comments that have come since I've made that request, and it's just pure ignorance. There's no other way to describe it. I've seen, and no one has said anything to me directly. And I've even engaged some in an educational format. Like I was really respectful to one guy who said, well, something of like, well, who's going to police this? And I said, well, we're not about policing it. And then he mentioned, well, who is this only going to take care of? And I said, well, if you reference what a hate crime ordinance does, you will see that it is in place for religion. It is in place for gender. It's in place for sexuality. It's in place for race. So there are so many pockets of people who can get victimized because of who they are, how they believe. And this one thing goes to make sure that all of us are protected. I was asked by the Index Journal, well, did the recent cases that happened in Greenwood cause you to go to the city council? And I said, I'm going to say that I probably would have went anyway. But I'm going to guarantee you that the recent cases that we've had in Greenwood definitely acted as a catalyst.
Well, I was there when you spoke. I was so proud of you. I was just sitting in the back beaming. And it's like, I know her. You know, I was telling the people sitting next to me, I know her. I know her.
Yeah.
We do a podcast together. Look how cool she is. So I was very proud of you for doing that. And you didn't seem nervous at all. And you felt, you looked like the most confident person in the room.
Oh, cool.
So well done.
Yeah.
And I think your message is starting to catch on because I'm going to play this news clip from you, which I think is very relevant.
Okay.
From here in South Carolina.
Okay.
States without a hate crime law, but Richland County officials aren't waiting for lawmakers to do something about it. Last night, County Council approved a hate crime ordinance. Towns and cities in the state have done it, but Richland is now the first county in the state to take that step. Our Megan Gagne was tracking that story during last night's council meeting. Megan, what's next?
And by the way, I should give credit. This is actually Fox 57 News, WACH.
Okay.
And Richland County is where the capital city, Columbia, is located in South Carolina. So the county itself went ahead and passed a hate crimes ordinance.
That's right. Good job.
Grundy, the county's ordinance that was voted on last night right here will go into effect next month, but the same cannot be said at the state level. A hate crime bill named after Senator Clementa Pinckney, who was killed in the Mother Emanuel Church shooting in Charleston, has never made it through the Senate. That's why Richland County isn't waiting anymore and started drafting their own version of what this hate crime bill will look like earlier this year. Council members say this new ordinance sends a clear message that hate has no place here in Richland County.
And we'll leave it at that. So congratulations to Richland County.
Yeah.
It's basically telling the residents, we got your back.
That's it.
All right, we got your back. And we got to make it very clear. It's not limiting your free speech.
It doesn't.
You can be as vile of an individual as you want.
That's on
but
you.
what these laws do is that if you commit a crime and the motive of the crime has been determined to be because of one's race or sexuality, etc., then it's no longer just a crime against an individual. You're now instilling fear in that community.
Yeah.
If I put a burning cross on your lawn, it's not just to go after you, Jumelle.
Yeah.
I am now affecting your neighbors and the community of your friends and everybody who is now fearful of receiving the same type of hateful behavior. So it's an enhanced penalty.
It's an enhanced penalty. There was one comment where there was a lot of, oh, just grow up, toughen up. You should be able to handle when somebody says something to you. And then one individual said, I know you remember that sticks and stones may break my bones. And I said, if you want to use that as an analogy, then let's do so. And I want you to understand that it's not the part that words never hurt me. That's not the part that this hate crime ordinance is trying to correct. It is trying to correct when you take the sticks and the stones to do the harm to the person because of the words that you've added to it. Right. That is what it's attempting to do. So if you want to use an analogy, I'm the right one to use it with because I can gather you real quick. And he never said another thing. Like, let's not play games, sir. Let's not play games. And there was one person, and I cannot wait to post this comment, because I screenshotted every one of those comments from the people who really had a bad day. And there was one individual, older white man was the profile pic, and he came up and in his post, he said, and every one of them that vote to support it will have their seats. And I wanted to go up under him and said, I echo that, but on the opposite side. Let's flip it. Every one of them that votes against it, I am going to work day and night to put somebody else in that seat. Because what you are saying publicly is one group of people matter more to you than the other group of the people.
Well, the trick is to even get it to a vote. Like right now, there is no ordinance. There's nothing that has been brought to the table.
Won't even respond to my email. So I sent an email to the city. Wonderful young lady at the front always sends me an email back, really pleasant. And she said, I forwarded your email to the city manager. I have not received a response. And in my email, I said I wanted to follow up on the status. Have you looked at the previously installed ordinances?
If I may ask, how does it get introduced? Doesn't it just take a council person to introduce it?
It takes a council person to say, I would like, they motion it and
so
bring it to the floor.
You have at least 4 friendly faces on that city council, any one of whom could introduce it.
And they haven't said a word. So I'm going to give everybody the respect. But after the vote, then it's just going to be what it's going to be.
But how do you get it to the vote? That's where the pressure needs to be right now.
If they don't get it to the vote, the pressure, I think, was when the Index Journal ran those back-to-back articles. I spoke, the Index Journal ran those back-to-back articles. And are you going to tell me that as members of this city that you've witnessed the last 2 incidents, and each of the people that will be our friendlies fall into the pockets of the people that were potentially impacted? So are you not going to tell me that you don't want to address that issue? And I don't want to speak to their quietness and them not be present, because I can handle the response if we were in the same room. I have not reached out to my city councilman, because my city councilman was the one who made the statement, why are you even bringing this to the council? So we can't talk. But the other ones, I haven't said anything to, because I really tried to follow protocol. Have a conversation with the mayor first, which I did after we had those incidents where there were white men aggressively attacking black women. I had a conversation with the mayor, and I never publicized it because it was me as a citizen, not me on any other platform. And I thought we had a good conversation, but in that conversation, I explained to him that what I didn't want to hear them use is freedom of speech in any of that, because that was far past it. It had become an assault at that point. And so we got past that part. But when I emailed and I sent a follow-up email to the city, they said, well, we're going to forward your email to the city manager. The city manager has not responded. I have not followed back up, but I will send another reminder to say I didn't get it. Well, it sounds like
you need some numbers and maybe more people sending emails of the same message.
Well, here's my thing. I can do that. I don't have a problem bringing in crew and increasing the numbers we can do. And this next run will be me soliciting people saying, let's pack the rooms. Let's stand outside of City Hall until they get the message. That'll be another phase. But what I wanted them to do is to start doing your research and understand how this is a bill that you can support and prepare yourself for a response. But I've given you ample time. And instead of that, I think one of the representatives said, well, what I will do is request that we hold a special session so that each council member can express their feelings openly. And that was the end of that.
Interesting. Well, Jumelle, you and I have been busy, but we have to get to the business of our podcast, believe it or not. So let's start with this.
Okay.
Your South Carolina representatives at work.
Yeah, I didn't have any RJ May in that video.
It's the face that when you say our South Carolina representatives at work, and then Billy Garrett goes, that look.
Like you swallowed a bug.
It's like timing. Work. Who's supposed to work?
And it's funny, every time I put that video up, you forget we have it.
Yeah.
You look at it and go, oh.
Yeah.
You forget it's in our repertoire. I like that about you. Okay. Short-term memory.
It's gone.
To talk about South Carolina lawmaking at the moment, they are now on break. They don't formally go back into session until January of 2026, believe it or not. They are done as of May. And one of the big items that the state house ended with had to do with paid parental leave for state employees.
Okay.
And a few years back, they were able to get through a bill that got 6 weeks of parental leave. Now, the House wanted 12 a couple of years back. The Senate took it and says, yeah, we're going to knock it down to 6. And the 6 is what they negotiated and passed into law. But as many parents go, hey, 6 weeks with a newborn
is no time.
You're barely recovered yourself, let alone bonding with the child. So they're going to go with 12, which is kind of the national average, if you would. And so 12 weeks of paid parental leave for state workers. This is House Bill 3645, and there were a little bit of fireworks in the state house as this was debated.
Okay.
It went into a third reading, which means that it had already been voted on a number of times already, and now it goes through a third review and a final vote.
Okay.
And during the debate prior to the final vote, there was a little scuffle between Representative Josiah Magnuson. We've seen that redheaded name quite often. And the sponsor of the bill, the primary author, was Beth Bernstein. Okay. So Representative Bernstein and Josiah got into it a bit. What I'm going to start with is I'm going to play a clip of Josiah Magnuson, who rattles off his objections to a 12-week bill. Here we go.
Let me hear it.
3645, Bernstein.
And that guy, he's just the clerk out there. He's reading the name.
But I really do like
He read Bernstein because she's the author of the bill. But he's a little showman.
Yeah.
Mr. Magnuson is recognized to speak on third reading 3645. Mr. Magnuson.
Well, good morning. Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. And I wanted to just share with you a few reasons why I voted against this bill yesterday and some things that I think that you should be aware of, because I want to make sure everybody knows what we are voting upon. Yesterday we had a vote, I think it was 80 to 31, something like that, to pass this bill. This is a Democrat bill. It's a liberal bill.
There's that scepter that's sitting behind him. I just want to bonk him on the head with it.
Yes.
But hear how he characterized the bill right away?
He already did.
All right, let's go.
And in my opinion, it was unvetted. It was just pushed through. And I want to share with you three things else that I think you'll be very interested and concerned about with me if you're a conservative Republican in this chamber, which is, first of all, I think that this bill for more paid parental leave for state employees, which, again, to be clear, includes teachers, it includes anybody working for a local government. What we're seeing is a move, and you see this over the course of many years. You see the government finding ways to intervene more in domestic affairs, in the home, in the family.
So, do you sense any irony in that statement?
Did you not see me? I almost broke my neck. Can you? Okay.
So this is the same party that wants to talk about how you have sex, how you get pregnant or not pregnant, who you can marry or not marry,
and what you answer to,
what books you read or not read. They want to be in your bedroom and bathroom.
So government overreach is okay if it's them.
Yes.
But okay.
But even then, how is offering 12 weeks of family leave interference?
Interference.
We're not interfering
at all.
Anyhow, he has an objection over government involvement in the home. Oh, God. He should have just died from a stroke of irony right then and there.
So first and foremost, I believe that this is a bill that creates an expectation and puts the foot in the door a little more for the government to be involved in the home. Secondly, and you fiscal conservatives will want to listen to this, because your people are going to be asking you, why did you vote to raise our taxes? That is the case. I mean, that is what is going to happen. You're voting to give more benefits to people who already have benefits if they have a government job. So what you're doing is you're voting, if you vote for this bill, you're voting to take more money away from people who don't have benefits and give it to people who already do have benefits. You're saying let's tax the people of South Carolina, most of whom don't get paid parental leave, and give them to state employees who already have 6 weeks of paid parental leave.
What's that thing we used to do to buzz in? What's the thing, Bill?
Buzz in.
Buzz me in. Ding, ding, ding. So would that kind of be like the tuition that they're doing for the schools? Okay, because see, I do good with correlation. So you want to take benefits from the people who don't have it, and you want to give them benefits to the people who got it. Kind of like the tuition vouchers. Some of those people that are in private schools already are paying to go for private schools, but because the way the thing is going to be written, they'll be able to take other monies from people that can't go and give it to the people who already got the benefits. So it work on that, but it don't work on this.
You are going to find yourself into an early grave if you're going to search for consistency and logic among these people.
I'm not looking for it, but I want people who thought there was something to realize that there isn't.
So that's what you're voting for. You're voting to, in effect, take from the
Wait till
poor
you
and give
hear
to
his
the
third
rich.
objection.
And then thirdly, this is something I think you'll be very concerned about. As I was going back through this bill last night, I noticed that the language does not mention mothers and fathers. It says state employees who give birth and state employees who do not give birth. Now, I don't know about you, but I believe that our government should acknowledge mothers and should acknowledge fathers. And to push this liberal bill through without vetting it, to me, is unacceptable.
Are you trying to ding in again?
Buzz me in. Buzz me in.
If you and I were ever a tag team in a pro wrestling match,
oh my
you are just going to be tapping in every cent. I'm not going to have a word.
Ding, ding, ding. Excuse me, sir, but there are such thing as, let me paint this picture. If there's a husband and wife team and the wife is physically unable to carry the baby and chooses, because she has no other choice to do, what do you call?
Surrogate.
Surrogate. That's the term, Bill. Look at that.
Well, here's
a
another
surrogate.
scenario. Think of a same-sex couple
Yeah.
who adopts,
Yeah.
or one gets inseminated and
Yep.
they give birth. You can't say mother and father.
You
He has an
can't.
objection to same-sex marriages.
He didn't have it when he had R.J. May sitting over there. They was looking at the same thing. I ain't hear him say nothing then. Object to that.
Well, as mad as you were, you should have seen Beth Bernstein, Representative Bernstein,
Come on, Bernstein.
who has been advocating for this and fighting for this forever.
Okay.
She has had it. Let's
on.
listen to her.
Okay.
Ms. Bernstein's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm not sure why this bill is considered a liberal bill, maybe because you think I'm the primary sponsor. There are lots of sponsors on this bill, and I find it quite interesting that this was a bill that we passed out of this House in the session, the legislative session 124 for the year 2021 to 2022. We passed 12 weeks paid leave, parental leave, for the mother, for the non-birthing parent, I think it was 4 weeks, and for those who are adopted parents. You voted for this, Mr. Magnuson. When this came to the House, overwhelmingly, it passed 104 yeas to 4 nays. So I'm not sure what has changed from your mindset and your perspective at that time to today. This House overwhelmingly passed it. The Senate took it down to 6 weeks. We went from 0 weeks of paid parental leave for our state employees to 6. The House wanted it to 12. The Senate took 6 weeks away. This is known. This legislation helps the family bonding. You already heard what Representative Caskey said. I'm a parent, whether or not I'm the birthing parent or not.
That's right.
The bond that you have with your child, particularly at birth, is something that is special and something that should be preserved. For those of you in this chamber who talk about family and family preservation and the family bonding and vote against this bill, that does not make sense. We have a family caucus here.
Not anymore.
A lot of the family caucus members voted against this. I think Mr. Magnuson standing up here today is trying to save face for voting against a bill that he voted for in 2021 and 2022. I have never stood up here and tried to mislead or misrepresent anything that we do up here. We are working for our constituents, whether they're Republican, Democrat, or independent. So when you call something liberal or conservative, you're putting labels on something.
Come on.
You're making this chamber divisive. You're making it where we don't want to work together. I'm not that way. You have to compromise in life. Give and take. Don't put these labels of liberal and conservative. This is to help families, help mothers and fathers bond with their child. And as a state, we should be supporting that. This is only for state employees. Hopefully, this will make us more competitive in the private sector. These were the things that were discussed when we debated and vetted this at length previously. So the family caucus members, if you want to be for family, vote for this bill. If you don't, then don't vote for it.
Oh, they better leave Beth alone.
Did
That's
you hear
all
her
I know.
voice shake at
Oh,
the
they
end?
got me hot.
And she got an applause, too. You must have missed
Yeah.
that applause. But normally, you speak on the floor. You don't get applause. She got applause.
You saw that passion coming through her.
So where does that stand? That particular vote, it passed the House 86 to 18. 3 were excused absent, and 16 did not vote. Your former opponent, Daniel Gibson, who represents House District 12, Greenwood and McCormick, he voted in favor of this bill. So good on him.
Good job.
My former opponent in House District 13, Representative John McCravey, the disgraced member of the Family Caucus that no longer exists, did not vote. So he did not have an excused absence. He just did not cast a vote.
He didn't vote.
So that was, I thought, interesting and telling. So now it sits in with the Senate Finance Committee. So it's passed the House. It's been kicked up to the Senate, and they don't even take it up until January. So we got to wait 7 months, and maybe we'll hear more from the Senate on this. Maybe they go, nah, we're taking it back down to 6 weeks again. Maybe we'll take it down to 7 weeks. The negotiation can begin again. But I just wanted you to hear the passion.
And I wasn't going to touch this, but they go hand in hand. This is an example of how I say they want to act as if they care for the fetus, the unborn child, but they don't give a rat's butt about it once it gets here. And if that time after birth or after adoption, that 12 weeks allows that family to bond and jail and build a strong foundation because that's what we want, why would you interfere with that? But you have all these other rules and regulations that you're putting. But when it comes down to those that impact you, that's when you want to buck the system. I just don't get it. I don't get how you don't see the connection. And you being the Freedom Caucus, I don't get how they don't, in the GOP, I don't see how they don't get the connection of these decisions that make, or maybe they do.
There you go, trying to find the logical consistency.
Okay, let me let it go.
You got to let that go.
Okay.
For up to the minute reports, stay tuned to this station. Now the news.
All right. We're going to cover a couple of news items here. Since we've talked about our personal lives, we've talked about the state. It is now 3 o'clock in the morning.
Really?
We've got some national news we need to talk about.
Okay.
And there's a lot to discuss. And obviously we can't cover it all. But two of the biggest topics to me, first is what is happening in the anti-immigration world.
Ooh.
Basically what inspired me to reach out to my son-in-law's family and speak in their native language to try to show them that there are people who care, people who believe in the humanity of others.
Yeah.
But our nation is in turmoil again, Jumelle.
Yeah.
It is in turmoil not seen since the last time Trump was in office.
He does it every time.
He brings chaos with him. This is what Hillary Clinton had said about him. This is what Kamala Harris said. The man just brings chaos, and we see that pattern. We all know from last time, yet the majority of voters says bring that back.
Yeah.
And it all stems from a xenophobic belief that is best espoused by that ghoul, Stephen Miller. Have you gotten to know that name?
Yeah.
He looks like a ghoul. And here are some tweets from him. He says, quote, "Foreign flags flying in American cities to defend the invasion and defy federal law." So was he talking about Columbus Day parades where, you see the Italian flag flown, or St. Patrick Day parades when you see the Irish flag? You don't know. He's not talking about that. It's only when somebody waves a Mexican flag in support of their Mexican brothers and sisters who are being disappeared from the face of this earth without a trace, without a trial, without due process. He has an objection to that. He also said, quote, "America was invaded by illegal aliens."
He don't know.
Americans voted to end the invasion. Democrat rioters are now waging violent insurrection to overturn the election result and continue the invasion. This is a senior member of the Trump staff. So apparently we were invaded by all of these South Americans to go work in, tomato fields, work in construction zones. Have you seen invasions? When Germany invaded France, did they go and start picking in the fields in France?
He would know what invasions look like, so he probably should be quiet.
Right. And don't forget Trump when he said the following, and this is a speech that he gave at CPAC, which is a big conservative political action committee. They have a big old conference of just the vilest stuff. And according to the Brennan Center for Justice, Trump said, quote, "The United States under President Biden was awash in bloodshed, chaos, and violent crime." Do you remember us being awash in all that the last 4 years?
Yeah, no, I ain't seen none of that.
So this is what the Brennan Center said. The first problem with Trump's narrative is the timeline. The spike in violent crime happened under Trump's watch, not Biden's. In 2020, the final year of the Trump presidency, murder rose by nearly 30% and assault by more than 10%. This is under Trump's presidency. His other baseless crime-related claim at CPAC was that newly arrived migrants are responsible for more violent crime than other groups. He predicted that the current wave of migration will be far more deadly than anyone thought. and there is no evidence to support this narrative. So they have built their campaign on a message of fear and hatred, and that has resonated with that entire base. I'm going to pull up this Instagram video that I came across, which I thought was really interesting. Some guy went and did a comparison of what is more dangerous, an illegal immigrant or, and then he goes through a number of things. Let's take a watch.
MAGA Republicans talk about undocumented immigrants like they're the most dangerous people in the country, but they never share any crime statistics or data to back up their argument because they know it would negate their fear-mongering. So let's do just that. Let's look at the 10 things that are more likely to cost you your life in the United States than an undocumented immigrant. According to Trump's U.S. Border Patrol and Customs data, there were 29 non-citizens convicted of homicide in 2024. 29 nationwide. With 350 million people in the United States, that means you have a 1 in 12 million chance each year of losing your life to a non-citizen. So how does that compare to other risks in our daily lives? Number 10, dog attack, 1 in 8 million. Number 9, plane crash, 1 in 1.4 million. Number 8, struck by lightning, 1 in 1.2 million. 7, homicide victim, 1 in 19,760. 6, homicide victim of your male spouse or boyfriend, 1 in 104,000. 5, accidental firearm discharge, 1 in 700,000. Number 4, choking, 1 in 63,000. Number 3, drowning, 1 in 88,000. 2, falling, 1 in 7,500. Wow. Number 1, car crash, 1 in 7,800. Now let's use the favorite argument of Republicans. Since we've now proven that all of these things are more dangerous than an undocumented immigrant, should we ban dogs, lightning, cars, food, water, ladders, airplanes, boyfriends, husbands, and firearms? Because all of these things are more dangerous than an illegal immigrant. Or is it something else? Is it the racism that makes it special?
So that came from Oh That's Rich on Instagram. A link to his account and video is available in the show notes. And he's doing these comparisons against the non-citizen murder rate, and every one of those is hundreds of times more likely to happen. So that whole argument, just all this effort, the millions, the hundreds of millions they're spending on ICE, disrupting cities, kidnapping people for such a tiny, tiny, tiny problem. That's just wrong.
You know how the Instagram gods or the social media gods work? Videos like this won't reach the people on the other side of the aisle or the MAGA people. It won't reach them.
That's up to you and I. So I have started going door to door with my phone and playing this video to everybody in my neighborhood.
Because it'll never hit their feeds.
Exactly. That's what you have to do. So we have had some protests occurring in Los Angeles that have gotten out of control. They did not get out of control until the National Guard was brought in. ICE felt threatened by people dancing and chanting. And so the media shows, a burning Waymo car, which happened after the National Guard came in. And when you push that hard, people will push back. So I'm not saying that burning of the cars is fine and graffitiing walls are fine, but none of that would have happened until they were incited. That's really what it was. It's exactly what Trump did on January 6th. He is good at inciting people to violence. So there's a claim that California is a lawless third world country. So are crime rates in California increasing? No. In fact, violent crime in the state dropped by 4.6%, while property crime dropped by 8.5% in the state in 2024 compared to 2023. So
who made that claim about California? The felon himself?
All of them, right? This is the right-wing media.
Come on, dude.
Yet the facts, according to a Yahoo News article, shows the exact opposite is true. So this activation of the National Guard is also very disturbing. This is reportedly the first time the National Guard has been activated without the request of the state's governor since 1965. And guess what was happening back in the mid-1960s? You had the racial protests, and you had anti-Vietnam protests and so on. And we saw what happened at Kent State where people got killed. What Trump and his goons are doing are going to get people killed. And we're basically just waiting. It's just a matter of time. But at some point, they will get killed.
I believe it.
He is losing support, though, while the MAGA right-wing extremists are all dancing for joy at the chaos and misery that's being caused. There are former Trump supporters who are issuing regret. And I want to play a clip of Florida State Senator Elena Garcia.
Let me see what she said.
You know who she is?
I don't, but let me see.
She is the co-founder of Latinas for Trump.
Come on, let me see her.
So let's hear what she had to say before and then what she had to say after. This is her before.
I'm Hispanic and I vote for Mr. Trump. We vote for Mr. Trump.
So this is at some sort of rally. She's a short woman standing at a podium. She's got her arms in the air. She's saying, we vote for Mr. Trump. And there's Trump behind her, his hands all over her like, I don't know, it's freaky. Like if somebody just came up to you and started putting his hands all over you.
It would be a misunderstanding.
Here, let me try it now.
It will be a misunderstanding.
Let's see what happens on video so we can demonstrate to our audience what occurs if somebody walks up behind you and just starts putting his arm.
You have to say somebody walks up behind you that is that creepy.
Yeah, there's that too.
Okay.
So there he is. He feels comfortable just walking up behind the short lady, and his arms are on her shoulders, her arms, his hands are everywhere.
Yes! Mr. Trump! We love you! We love you!
Look, how many times has he touched her in this video? That was 5 times so far.
I can't get past this fool up here saying, we love you, Mr.
Yeah,
Trump.
I'm distracted. But yeah, so she's up there screaming, we love you, Mr. Trump. All right, so now, after the election, this is the same lady being interviewed.
Beyond betrayed. They used us. They actually, during the campaign, and I don't want to make this political.
I don't want to make this political. Is that not the stupidest statement in the world?
I almost said an unfamily word.
But during the campaign, the elected officials from the Republican Party, they actually told us that he was not going to touch the documented people.
I ain't got it in me for her. And the reason I ain't got it in me for her is she said they told us they wasn't going to touch the documented people. How the hell was they going to find out if they was documented or not? They was going to have to touch them, ma'am.
I saw a video the other day of a tourist. This is a woman who was here from another country visiting New York City. ICE swooped in, took her away from her husband and 12-year-old daughter and threw her into the back of a car because they heard her speaking Spanish. They just threw her in the back of a car and then whisked her away for 8 hours before they realized they made a mistake, that this was somebody who was just here on vacation for a week and was perfectly allowed to do so. Meanwhile, the daughter's crying, the husband's scared, they're being held back by other law enforcement. This has gotten out of control, and I do not want anybody to think that these are good people out there. You signed up for ICE. You are of a personality and you're in it for money or for hatred or for some other reason. But I have lost all sympathy for people who are saying they're just out there doing their jobs. No, you align with that organization. You are saying something.
And every elected official who aligned with that and encouraged people to vote for that foolishness does not deserve to serve. So Miami need to do what they need to do because she set y'all up.
Yes.
She set y'all up.
She did.
And y'all
she got a back massage from Donald Trump.
And up there doing all that goddamn screaming and hollering.
So I'm going to wrap up on this topic with this. By the time this episode airs, there will have been a protest here in Greenwood matching hundreds across the country with the theme No Kings. I can't say at this moment how it will turn out, but our state attorney general, as of this moment, is stoking fear in South Carolina. Have you seen this?
Yeah,
Watch.
I saw it. Yeah.
Attorney General Alan Wilson has issued a warning to protesters here in the Palmetto State. He says his office is seeing reports of coordinated protests set for this Saturday, Flag Day, and also Donald Trump's birthday. Wilson says violence, vandalism, and any attempts to intimidate or obstruct law enforcement will not be tolerated in the state. He says in part, quote, "Let me be clear. If you attack law enforcement, destroy public or private property, or endanger lives in our state, you will be arrested, charged, and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law."
Okay. All right. Now, if we could, if the people, when they log on to watch this, right, is one line on that Alan Wilson message that I want y'all to look at, because I want to know if he going to say it to RJ May. Let me be clear. If you endanger the lives in our state, if you endanger lives in our state, you are going to be arrested, charged, and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. He is out here pushing this, but he ain't saying nothing about RJ. But this is what you want to do. And not one of those protests have been violent.
In fairness, he probably saw a picture of 81-year-old Miss Susie at the last protest with her sign, and he probably felt very intimidated by her
sweet Miss
her
Susie.
mean, scary look. I mean, she's what, 3'5" at most, right? So he's really worried about damage. So no, this is just Alan running for office. He's running for governor of the state and putting out a dumb statement like this, which he could put out on anything. The GOP convention in South Carolina, he could put that out. When Trump came and did a rally up in Oconee, he could have said something like this, or Pickens, wherever it was. He could have said something like this. He didn't.
This is the same dude who brought Kyle Wittenheiser to South Carolina. And
I don't know who that is.
you do remember Kyle, the one that was in another state that got tried, but they let him go.
Okay. Kyle Rittenhouse.
With him.
Yeah.
That's the same dude that brought him here. So we can't be expecting him to be objective.
No, not at all. The last news item for today is personal to me because I've said this before, Jumelle. I've claimed it before, and I still maintain that the appointment of RFK Jr. to head the Health and Human Services Division in our country was the most dangerous appointment of them all.
Yeah.
Normally, any other presidency, I don't know any of the cabinet names. I could barely remember half of Biden's cabinet. Trump, I know them all. Christie Noem, Pete Hegseth. You got all the losers together. The McMahon A1 sauce lady, right?
Yeah.
They're all just complete idiots and incompetents. But to me, the most dangerous is RFK Jr. And so many things have happened just in the past month that I think it's worth just quickly going through them so you can see them together in a bunch and see the impact this is going to have on our country.
Okay.
Well, I got to tell you this. I actually belong to an underground social media network that I'm not at liberty to talk about. And I actually have in my possession a secretly recorded audio clip of RFK Jr. in a cabinet meeting. And you can hear what may be in store for the rest of the country. You ready for this?
Yeah, Bill.
All right. Let's listen.
Thank you to Dr. Mark Hyman, who's been my friend and partner on these issues for over 20 years. And Vonnie Harry, who's been an extraordinary leader. And then Marty McCary, I'm so grateful that you agreed to join the administration. And Jay Bhattacharya, will you guys come up here and stand behind me? We have an amazing team at HHS.
Isn't that something? I am so grateful. I can't tell you how I got a hold of that recording.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my goodness.
But yeah, that is what we're in store for. You can hear the whooping cough is starting to spread throughout the country thanks to RFK Jr. Do you have any idea how long it took me to put that together? I had so much fun with that. It's not even funny. I should show you the process. All right, but let me get serious for a second.
God.
So I'm just going to run through a couple of quick news headlines and some highlights, but we're not going to dwell long here. First, talking about the Trump tax bill and this big, beautiful bill, et cetera, the analysis has found that nearly 11 million Americans would lose insurance under this bill.
Yeah.
And this is from USA Today. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office said that about 10.9 million Americans would lose health insurance through 2034 under the bill, which also includes 1.4 million undocumented residents who get coverage through state-funded programs. So it's not even federal money that's doing it, it's state money, but they're going to make it illegal for the states to do so in this bill. So this legislation also would require non-disabled Americans on Medicaid to work at least 80 hours per month or qualify for an exemption, such as being a student or a caregiver. But even there, it's going to be rife with no's. I mean, you've seen the red tape you have to go through. These are going to be automatic no's without any care for your situation. So they're just going to let people be sick. I mean, they're on Medicaid for a reason, and they're just going to let them be sick and die as a result. So that's the tax bill. Then you get to a revealed report that RFK Jr. had promised to deliver, which would be the state of the health of the country. They called it MAHA, you know?
Yeah.
It means Make America Hazardous again. But this MAHA report that they touted with great fanfare, well, one group called Notice. Now, Notice is a nonprofit news organization that stands for News of the United States.
Okay.
Notice. It's a nonprofit, nonpartisan news group. They actually went through that bill in detail and looked at all of the references that are made at the end. So this study, that study, this report, and found that many of those studies didn't exist. Some were completely invented. It cited more than 500 studies and other sources to back up its claims. Those citations, though, are rife with errors from broken links to misstated conclusions, meaning the report says this when it actually said something else. So, for example, the most damning instances were at least 7 studies that simply didn't exist. For instance, the MAHA report claims that drug advertising has led to a rise in ADHD and depression prescriptions being written for children. But try to find that study that's cited in the report. You can't, because that study doesn't exist. Notice has other examples of fake studies that it found. The report referenced a paper published in the journal Pediatrics that referred to how screen time impacted sleep in children. The paper was real, but it wasn't in pediatrics, and it didn't study children. It looked at adults. The report was littered with errors like that. So the White House comes out, the press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, referred to any errors as formatting issues.
Girl.
Right? So this is a completely invented report that they didn't expect anybody to read and have been caught on their lies. And they call them formatting issues. So that was their big report that they're going to base all of their policies off of. But it gets worse. RFK Jr. may bar government scientists from publishing in medical journals. This comes from The Hill. He says he will ban government scientists from publishing in leading medical journals and propose creating an in-house publication by the department. Quote, "We are probably going to stop publishing in The Lancet, the New England Journal of Medicine, JAMA, and those other journals because they are all corrupt," he said on a podcast. He's calling the New England Journal of Medicine Lancet. I know of Lancet, and I'm not even a scientist. He's calling them corrupt, and he's going to go publish it himself. All right, it gets worse. So the United States, in one of Donald Trump's first actions upon taking office, was to pull out of the World Health Organization. Because why would you want to coordinate with other nations on worldwide pandemics or plagues or things like that? So he's pulled out. Argentina, which also has their own little Donald Trump there, a guy named Javier Milei. Those two countries have pulled out of the World Health Organization. In fact, that President Javier Milei, he was standing next to Elon Musk when Elon Musk was running around with the chainsaw on stage. You may have seen that photo. This Argentine president, he was right next to him enjoying it all up as a guest. So anyhow, this is where it gets nuts. On a post on X, Kennedy says he met with Milei to discuss the creation of an alternative international health system based on gold standard science and free from totalitarian impulses, corruption, and political control. So he is going to create another World Health Organization with this nut job down in Argentina.
If anybody knows the work of WHO, that is the most unbiased organization ever.
Yeah. And then the last note here, and this is a really, really scary one. RFK Jr. is a known anti-vaccine nut. He has removed all 17 members of the CDC's Vaccine Advisory Committee. And this is according to ABC News. He just let them go and is going to replace them with new members who are more aligned with anti-vaccine propaganda. This is the Advisory Committee for Immunization Practices, ACIP. They make recommendations on safety, efficacy, clinical needs of vaccines. They are well-respected scientists and professionals in the field. And when going through the vetting process, Kennedy said in a Senate hearing that he would not touch ACIP. Senator Bill Cassidy, he's a Republican for Louisiana, and I believe he's a dentist or some doctor of some sort. He's got some knowledge in the medical field. He was nervous about Kennedy, but he said that he had initially struggled with Kennedy's nomination for HHS secretary before voting to confirm him because Kennedy had promised him no changes would be made to the ACIP. And just the other day, he let go of that entire committee. So Dr. Richard Besser, who's the president and CEO of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, you heard of them? They're a big deal with a lot of money to do medical research. He's also the former acting director of the CDC, said that Kennedy's move should erase any remaining doubt that he intends to impose his personal anti-vaccine agenda on the American people. So these actions that are taken by this nut job, remember our very first podcast was about this guy.
Yeah, it sure was.
Who was running for president as a Democratic nominee.
He sure was.
And now, in my opinion, he is going to result in more deaths of Americans and globally than any other individual in that cabinet.
And I blame every one of them fools that voted to confirm that lunatic. Gosh.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Black, White, and Blue in the South. We hope you enjoyed what you heard today. Don't worry, Jumelle, we're going to end on a good note. I promise.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed what you heard today. Please take a quick minute and leave us a rating and a review of this show. We really want to know what you think. If you are a blue dot in a red sea, keep the faith. Keep up the hard work. Change only happens over many years of work and dedication. To close out our episode, I'm going to pull in. We need to get back to a happier place, right?
Okay.
We need to get back to level here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pull in the amazing, the one and only South Carolina House Representative Justin Bamberg. And I'm going to show you a video of him that you have never seen before, and you won't believe your eyes when you see this.
Okay.
So let's end with Justin Bamberg and leave on a happier note. Here we go.
Okay.
What's up, man? It's the People's Rep. And this is for all y'all out there going through something, man. Just remember, you done came way too far, baby.
So I want to give the visual here. This is Representative Bamberg, who's got a distinctive look about him already.
Yeah.
He's sitting in an office chair in front of a keyboard, a musical keyboard. He's stroking the keys here.
Yes, he is.
He's in just a white T-shirt.
A white tee.
All right, not a sleeveless tee. He's got sleeves in this T-shirt.
Yeah, it's a white tee.
This is about as casual as you can get
ever
for a representative. And
Never
this
seen
is a
him.
guy who shows up wearing $1,000 suits.
Yes.
Right? This is a guy who dresses the part.
Wow.
And here he is, just live streaming from home, talking some good vibes on his Facebook feed.
Yeah.
Let's watch.
So listen to this song as I try to play this piano and struggle through it. But you gotta keep going, baby. Keep going.
That's not him singing, by the way.
No,
He's
it's not.
playing a track in the
Yeah.
background of another singer. Just didn't want to give the impression that he's also got the vocal chops. I don't know how he sings. Well, let's find out.
Okay.
We will make it someday. I was fucked up, couldn't focus through them hard days. All the crazy shit I see don't make you lose your faith. I was 13 the first time I saw that cold face. Every night my mama prayed that I'm okay. And believe that we will make it on the front page. When you pop out in the city, they gon' scream your name. Yeah.
All right, I got to ask you a completely unrelated question.
Okay.
Okay, this is going to be a racial question.
Okay.
So Justin Bamberg comes from a mixed race parents.
He
I believe
does.
his mother is white, his father is black.
Correct.
Why is it that whenever you have a mixed race child, that child is 100% black? Like, listen to this. Like, he didn't get up here on stage and start playing Lynyrd Skynyrd.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He didn't go after the white side of the family. He's up here playing soul. And,
He took out his daddy. I mean,
yeah. But that's true. Like every time. Am I wrong, or is that just me with my white eyes?
I think what has happened is I think this was a conversation I heard I was a part of, and it said if you got one drop of black blood, that's it.
It's kind of like if you have one drop of native blood, you
Yeah,
get to
yeah.
own a casino,
That's
right?
it.
You all in.
Yeah.
So
I think that's it.
so the white culture, I have to agree, is getting wiped out completely here. There's no mama there.
It's making people nervous.
Where's Fleetwood Mac? We're the Doobie Brothers.
He might be in there, just not on this track.
Don't get me wrong, I love this.
Yeah.
And we done came way too far. Oh, we done came way too far.
This is like the soul version of
I would
Mr.
have
Rogers.
never expected him to listen to this.
Yeah, you got to hear the ending too, because he ends on a really good note. But this opening, this is like Mr. Rogers with his opening theme music.
Yeah.
And the music playing in the background, and it just kind of calms you.
It
and puts
does.
You in
Like I need a
positive
cup of
mood.
coffee. This is good.
Yeah, and there's a line at the top of this video that says, "You done came way too
That's
far."
right. That's us. You done
way too far.
That's right.
Don't give up, man. That's the Sunday message. Way too far. Keep going. Oh, we done came way too far.
You can sing.
We done came way too far.
Just stick the back up, but he doing all right.
We done came way too far.
There's no James Brown.
No,
Okay.
no. James Brown couldn't sing.
Oh, you done came way too far. If nobody's told you lately, man, just remember you are loved, man, and make the rest of your life the best of your life, because you done came way too far. This the People's Rep, aka Attorney Bamberg, signing off. Love y'all.
That just made me all warm and fuzzy. Before this, I started to laugh because I was thinking of Shrek. I don't know if you watch Shrek, but there's the whoever he is, he tell the people, bring me my angry wig. What is his name that changed Shrek into the ogre? Do you not know that story?
I've seen the movies, but I can't say I've memorized the
lore.
lore.
Just when you're finished in your downtime, just Google bring me my angry wig.
Wolfie, my angry wig.
Because if you kept talking about the other stuff, I was going to tell you to bring me my angry wig. But he had a wig for every emotion. And so so as soon as this came on, I was like, I could take off my angry wig.
So as the producer of our show, I have to weave the emotional narrative. I have to bring us through the high points and the valleys and back to the high point. And you're going to go home exhausted.
Yes, I am.
And not just from all the talking, but from the journey that we just went on. And I hope you, dear listener, enjoyed your journey with us.
Yay.
As we have wrapped up episode 63.
Yay.
I believe we actually have one more episode to do before we go on a little summer break.
We do.
Do we want to reveal who we might have on yet? Or?
No, but you don't want to miss it when it comes out.
Okay. We have a guest prepared.
We do.
A return guest at that.
Yeah.
But we're going to make sure we get this confirmed before we make any announcements. Otherwise, it might be another emotional journey just with Jumelle and I.
This one will wear you out.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
The end.
The end. The end.
The preceding podcast is solely owned by its host or hosts and is distributed by Big Media LLC. Copyright 2025, all rights reserved.